Episode what? Welcome in to episode... Wonderful Humberto. Thank you. The distribution...
We're doing it live, people.
Reliable.
The distribution content coordinator here at Valuetainment. Hi, welcome to the Unusual Suspects. We're not sure what episode it is, but you're watching it nonetheless. And before you tune out, Vinny will be joining us. But before he does, let's go around the room and welcome everybody joining us on today's podcast. We're joined by our normal, usual, unusual suspects. To my left, I have Humberto, who is quickly trying to figure out what episode this actually is.
60. Happy 60.
60. Look at that. We've made it 60 with how many strikes?
All of them.
Oh, okay. All right, well,
We're serious strikes. Don't strike us down. YouTube.
yes, hopefully we'll make it to episode 61 after today. To Humberto's left, we have Brandon Aceto, head researcher here at Valuetainment.
How we doing?
Across from him in a very nice shirt from the 90s. That feels like a Tim the Toolman Taylor shirt. Like you're wearing that
Outdoorsman shirt.
An outdoorsman. And it looks very outdoorsy on you. That is
Cigar
Shane.
Lounge.
Shane Devine, one of the writers, part of the writing duo Oshana on VT.com, and also on the couch. So if you're both here, who's running the website?
Well, that's a mystery that I unfortunately can't answer. Our contract writer, Mason.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Yeah, because we normally just have you two.
Yes.
This is, when you go to VT.com, you're like, who are the people that are writing these articles? It's these two.
Yep.
And the other half of the writing duo of Shawner, it's Connor Walcott. You can connect with all of these guys, including our remote unusual suspect, Vincent Oshana, who will be joining us in just a second. You can connect with all of us on Minect. We are all on Minect right now. There is Vinny's Minect, the Minect League Championships ongoing. Your chance to win a meet and greet with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson at the Vault 2024 conference. Here is my Minect as well. There's Humberto.
Well, I'm going to let you finish, but my boy, Bryce Mitchell, is covering a Minect. So if you don't want to make it Minect me, Minect my boy Bryce and talk about flat earth.
Or you can
Facts.
connect with Connor's boy, Shane. He is there right there. You can connect with him. Any writing tips, stories, insider info, and also connect with Connor as well. Everybody on Minect. Again, join Minect right now. Your chance to win a meet and greet with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson at the Vault 2024, the Palm Beach Convention Center in September. There is Kelly, our producer, as well. So if you'd like to Minect with her, you may just scan that QR code and find out all about podcasting.
I'm on there too, in case you guys are wondering.
I thought we showed yours. Oh,
But it's okay.
well,
Sorry, Brandon.
No worries.
Kelly said sorry, Brandon.
No, they'll remember.
Just too important for a Q&A.
Yeah, just go
Yeah.
on Minect.com and search
Yeah.
Brandon Aceto, Aceto, and you'll find him. He can guide you on SEO, research, tight shirts, whatever you need.
Yep.
He can guide you
Especially.
on. You want workout tips, how to make your tries and your buys grow? Connect with Brandon.
Thank you.
Let's welcome our unusual suspect joining us remote, our fearless leader who is on remote from an undisclosed location. He is one of the favorite members of the PBD podcast, and he is joining us now. Vincent Oshana. Vinny, are you there?
Oh, I'm here, and thanks for having me, guys. I'm all the way here in the Hamptons, and I don't know if you guys have ever, been in like a house that we're renting and it's sick, but in my bedroom, I like make up stories of things that I find. So this is my hockey trophy from 1971. And this is Edna, my dog. Very sad. She's not with us any longer, but it's just funny. They leave all their in the house. But anyway, no, I'm chilling, bro. It's good. I'm away, but I wasn't not going to be on here because there's so much to talk about and so much madness is going on. So yeah, let's do it.
Well, the stories that have been running all week, it's hard to get away from this. And so we'll jump right into your story first, Vinny, because I think it's one of the most important stories. All week long, my job is to look for stories for us to cover on the podcast. And it has been difficult to find any other story in the political world outside of the cognitive decline of the president of the United States. So, Vinny, if you'd like to take it from here, we'll jump right into the first topic. Parkinson's president, what do you have?
Okay, so, well, dude, just to start it, I just want to commend all of you guys because everybody in that room, including Kelly, including everybody that's in charge, we've all seen this, we've all known this, and I'm not playing this game of, now the left is like, wait a minute, where did this come from? I don't buy it. Nobody else is buying that except their own delusional selves. But I'm just happy because the White House press corps, these leftist hacks who during the Trump administration would just obliterate, yell, be disrespectful to Sarah Sanders and Kylie McEnany, Umberto's favorite girl. From every single one of them were getting yelled at. It was a clown crap show. Notice how I watch my language, but they're finally starting to lose it. I'm not saying completely, because they still let Karine Jean-Pierre, the worst DEI hire in the history of DEI hires, second to Kamala Harris. I think it's, they can't talk back to her. It's either they're scared or they're worried because they're going to be like, wait a minute, you can't talk like that to a gay black woman. And it's like enough is enough. So I'm going to have Kelly play this first video of them finally starting to push back a little bit. And it's not Peter Doocy, it's the leftist hack. So if Kelly could play that, go for it.
That he gets every year that we provide to all of you.
It's a very basic, direct question.
Wait. Hold on. Wait a second.
Eight times, or at least once, in regards to the president specifically.
Hold on a second.
Not what you should be able to answer by this point.
Wait, no. No, wait a minute. Ed, please.
Ed.
A little respect here, please. So every year, around the president's physical examination, he sees a neurologist. That's 3 times, right? So I am telling you that he has seen a neurologist 3 times while he has been in this presidency. That's what I'm saying. I am telling you that he has seen them 3 times. That is what I'm sharing with you, right? So every time he has a physical, he has had to see a neurologist. So that is answering that question.
No, it's not.
No, it is. It is. You're asking me. I also said to you, Ed, for security reasons, we cannot share names.
Yeah.
We cannot share names.
You cannot
we
share
have
names
to. We have
of
to.
others he would have met with.
We
But
cannot.
You can share names
No.
in regards to if someone came here in regards to the president.
We cannot share names of specialists broadly, from a dermatologist to a neurologist. We cannot share names. There are security reasons. We have to protect. I understand that. I hear you.
Right there for anyone to see.
Ed, I hear you. I cannot from here confirm any of that because we have to keep their privacy. I think they would appreciate that too. We have to give them.
Question of the doctor.
We have to keep their privacy.
It is public.
I hear you.
I love it.
Guys,
Getting rowdy.
hold on a second. There's no reason to go back and forth with me in this aggressive way.
Miffed around here about how
Aggressive.
information's been shared with the press corps around here.
What are you missed about? What are you missed about?
Everything he just asked about.
First time her job is difficult.
And then every time I come back and I answer the question that you guys
answered it
asked.
correctly, you didn't have to come back and clean it
I
up
never
10 minutes
answered the
later.
question incorrectly. That is not true.
This was
I
a
was
Trump
asked about
press
a medical
secretary,
exam.
he'd be
I was
called
asked about a
belligerent,
physical. That
threatening
was
to
in
the
the
free
line of
press.
question that I answered. And
Wow.
Oh, guys, look, I love watching this because I don't know which one of you guys just said it. This is probably the first time they've ever pushed back and they've ever no. She's like, you're being aggressive, guys. God forbid I was in that room. And Peter Doocy is cool. I'm gonna get to him in a second. But if I was in there, bro, I would lose my credentials on day one. I would have been like, you know what? You're full of crap. I'm like, nobody's believing you. We're tired. We're tired of it. And then Connor wrote a story on VT.com that a Parkinson specialist, and I'm sorry, guys, and I'm looking down because I have to read off this. He visited the White House, so she's full of crap, 8 times in 8 months, okay? Dr. Kevin Kennard of the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center made monthly visits, early morning monthly visits, so nobody could see from July 2023 to May 2024. Now, guys, if a Parkinson's doctor, a professional, one of the world-renowned guys, is coming to the White House 8 times in 8 months, what do you think he's coming there for? If a proctologist came to my house every day for a month, you know what I mean? You'd be like, yo, Vinny's ass is in bad shape.
Yep.
Okay? It's like enough is enough. And this is now, guys, and this is the main part I wanted to get into. This is the scary part that nobody wants to talk about. Here's a video of Peter Doocy. He's giving a scenario, guys, because think about it. We are talking about all this funny joking. Oh, there's 5 different Bidens, whatever we kind of mess around with. This is where it gets serious. And Peter Doocy, who I think, he's just, what is it called, Umberto, when it's like controlled opposition.
Yeah,
he's
controlled
not.
opposition.
He barely asks these questions. He's the only one that dips his feet into the water once in a while. This is him giving Karine Jean-Pierre with her horrible. By the way, just her entire look. And I'm sorry, bro, I don't get personal, but her jackets, whoever's her stylist, horrible. Doesn't make it easier. He makes a scenario. Peter gives her a scenario about if there's a nuclear attack on the United States. Because remember, Joe Biden's awake for 3-4 hours a day. He's only functional, and it's actually a really, really good video. I want Kelly to play it.
Well, he also said he's sharpest before 8 p.m. So, say that the Pentagon at some point picks up an incoming nuke. It's 11 p.m. Who do you call? The First Lady?
He has a team that lets him know of any news that is pertinent and important to the American people. He has someone that is decided, obviously, with his National Security Council on who gets to tell him that news.
Okay, I hope everybody just heard what the spokeswoman for the White House just said. Do you know what she just said? She said somebody gives him and tells him what to do. Okay, this is the they that we've always talked about and we've always known. He's not making any decisions. I wish we knew. We're never going to find out who the they is. But let me give you guys a heads up. When I was in the United States Air Force, I was stationed at Malmstrom Air Force Base, Montana. It's one of our nuclear missile bases that houses, or it housed when I was there, up to 200 ICBM intercontinental Minuteman missiles, okay? And just for me to be around the nukes, guys, I had to not only have a thorough background check, which I found out from my 5th grade math teacher, that they were calling him, asking if I was going to be a terrorist or I was in my right mind at that age, if I was going to grow up and do something to harm the United States. Then I had to get my clearance, top secret, secret, whatever. They do all this background check. And then there's something called the PRP program. It's called the Personal Reliability Program. It's this thing that you enter. Guys, I couldn't eat poppy seeds on a what's it called, on a muffin. You have to be the most sane. They check your mental capacity. They check if everything's all right. No drugs, no nothing, just to be around nukes. This flips that whole shit that all these morons were saying. Remember the whole nuke? Remember that video of the viral video of that lady that was like yelling at this passenger because he had a Trump shirt? She's like, you just gave him the button, the nuclear button. Now, this is really real deal Holyfield. This guy has no idea what the hell is going on. After 6 p.m., he's not there. He has other people telling him what to do. This is the real fear. This is what everything that they told us about Trump, it's with Joe Biden, and it's real time, and it's scary as shit, because if God forbid something happens, he's not making any decisions. It's the they that we didn't elect. It's some other person, who knows who their master is, that's going to say, yes, attack, do this, what do we do? And I think it's a scary moment for this country, and I'm happy that now it's unraveling at the end. If I was the enemy, guys, I'd be attacking right now. If I was China, if I was Russia, I would team up and I would attack right now. Like, if you reach Sun Tzu, you wait for your enemy to be just like this, then you attack. So I'm just saying, wouldn't you?
100%.
Oh
If I saw,
yeah, I'd be on the clock 24/7.
And who's to say they're not trying to attack right now? Because we wouldn't know. They would hide everything from us. And by all accounts, everything in the world right now is happening because they know Biden is senile. Like, would Putin have invaded Ukraine if it wasn't for Biden? Probably not. Would China be as aggressive towards Taiwan right now? No. The Israeli war, Hamas, like, everything is going down right now. Russia was just in our backyard with submarines the other week.
Putin was hanging out with Rocket Man. They were just cruising her.
Oh, yeah.
They were shaking hands, and it looked like two dudes on a day date.
Yeah.
Like they were not gay date, a day date. They were driving around in a vehicle, touring. Vinny, if it's all right with you, I'd like to play a few clips from that press conference, because it was very interesting. When they got into, at one point, Peter Doocy did talk about Biden's cognitive decline, and this was my favorite part of the entire press conference. Kelly, could you play this clip of Karine Jean-Pierre talking about Biden's cognitive decline?
please.
Look, it's the president's medical team that makes the decision. We are not, with all due respect, you're not a doctor, I'm not a doctor. It is the president's medical unit that makes a decision on what the president needs.
So she's not a doctor and Peter Doocy is not a doctor, but if only there were actual doctors who could weigh in, like this one.
Now, if he were my patient, if he were my dad, frankly, I would want to get more testing done, cognitive testing and more detailed movement disorder testing as well.
Oh, that's a doctor. And there's another doctor, Vinny. This guy's a Parkinson's doctor. He was an expert that appeared on NBC, the No Biden channel. Take a look at this, Vinny.
It's not simple. I mean, I've heard that it can be.
It's one of the easier movement disorders to diagnose, actually.
Right,
but it's so clinic. There's very little other. And I'm a Democrat. I always say about this.
Right.
It's just like this guy is not a hard case.
But I've had relatives who have gone through neurological issues, and I've heard that sometimes Parkinson's is not very easy to nail. You have to take a lot of tests.
It's early on. If you're just presented with like hallucinations, that could be a variety of things, or just the cognitive problems. That could be Alzheimer's versus Parkinsonism, and that becomes a little nebulous. But once you start manifesting the hallmark motor symptoms,
right?
Slow movement, rigidity, mass facies, hypophonia. I mean, if a med student did not pick Parkinson's on the test, they'd be remediated.
I mean, those are two doctors, and we have one more, Kelly. If you could play this guy from Fox News.
This is clearly some dementia. It may be mild, it may be mildly progressive and not severely progressive, but clearly it's not the sort of patient you say, looks good, I'll see you in a year, as the White House had suggested. This is somebody you follow closely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, Karine Jean-Pierre stating the obvious, Vinny, not a doctor, but there are 3 different doctors appearing on 3 different news networks confirming that Biden has some type of cognitive decline. So it seems like there's no more denying this.
Well, you know what
the only way that they can do, the only thing they can do now is distract you from it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it reminds me of you ever see House of Cards when they decide to push a narrative, and you see like the compilation of every media channel saying like da 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 da, same thing. So they kind of, it seems like their playbook's just to overwhelm you with the same narrative until they finally break. And I think it's just kind of wearing them down. They're trying to fight it off, but the narrative getting push is going to wear them down over the next 2 weeks or so.
Which is proof that they're not really the media, or they're not really the press, because
hell no,
they could have done this at any point during this entire presidency.
Now they have permission
they chose
to.
not to.
Right.
They chose not to report the facts. Only Fox News was playing clips of Biden showing clear cognitive decline from the beginning. And honestly, you could probably make the case that they weren't even aware of how bad it was because of how much of a bubble they were in, insulated from the actual clips, because they don't watch Fox News, they don't watch alternative media, they only watch what they're allowed to watch.
Alternative media? Give me a freaking break. Okay, Vinny and I were watching the Shane Gillis special last weekend, right, Vinny? That was released in 2023. I love Shane Gillis. He's the best, but he's not a rocket scientist. And on his special that released a year ago, he was making fun of how bad Biden was. Like, right, Vinny?
Yeah, and let's be honest. And me and Humberto thought we were gonna go to like some 4th of July, nice, just 3 people. Dude, the door opened and it was Las Vegas, like bunch of sweaty, oily people. I was like, anyway, it was a disaster. But that being said, somebody notices me, and this is how much I love Humberto. 2 guys walk up to me. Humberto leaves his wife and comes to see what the hell's going on, because he's like, yo, let me go check on my boy. And it's 2 physicians, 2 younger. One of them's a big dude. I'm not going to say no names. They're both like, listen, I'm just letting you know. You should let everybody know on your podcast. All these people, none of them are having real doctors come up and say what's going on. He goes and asks Humberto, what do you say, Humberto? It's Parkinson's disease. He has Parkinson's, which the late stages turns into something of dementia, okay? It's no, and guys, let's not forget, are we forgetting in 2016, during this, 2020, COVID, what did they call Joe Biden? Biden in the basement. They never let him go up, and they never let him speak. He never spoke. What do you think was? He was scared of COVID? No. He's a moron. He's an idiot. He's a lying, corrupt, and degenerate pervert who now, because he can't remember it, we're all supposed to feel bad for him. To hell with that, okay? And now we're seeing, guys, it's a full-on attack on this guy. Now they're going to start eating their own, and I love it. George Stephanopoulos, who did the ABC interview that we spoofed, he was spotted in the streets in New York, and he's like, yeah, he's done. He can't do another 4 years. Jon Stewart is talking crap about him. Jimmy Fallon's doing sketches now. SNL. And it's like, guys, day late, dollar short.
Well, are those...
What's up?
Are those guys conspiracy theorists? Because when we got on here and we would say, hey, there's clearly something wrong with the president. He's freezing. There's reports that he may or may not have shit his pants. He wandered off during the D-Day ceremony in France. There's all these weird things that we would point out. And when we said it, people were like, oh, those guys believe 9/11 was an inside job. They wear tinfoil hats. They hate the vaccine. And they think 5G makes you gay. I'm wondering if that same logic now applies to the people from the left, Vinny, who are now spouting that same rhetoric that we were spouting 6 months ago.
Yeah, absolutely, Rob. Absolutely not, bro. These people are the most shameless, disgusting, soulless people I've ever met, bro. It's holding on to this power, and they hate saying, we were wrong, man. We were wrong. Listen, I admit it. There's things that Trump did. I hate when people are like, you're just a MAGA. Just shut the hell up, bro. I'm not happy with what happened with Operation Warp Speed, even though they kind of, what the hell else was this guy going to do? I keep saying this. I wanted a border. Bro, I am Mr. First Day, National Guard, border, and just literally stay there and do this to every single person that's coming here. Sorry, we don't want your problems. Zelensky, dude, I would clean house on day one. So there's a bunch of stuff. So all these, you're just a blind loyalist. I don't believe that nonsense. But all these people, they know, Robbie. They've known. They've kept quiet. And now the shit is hitting the fan. And nothing makes. I sleep. I was having problems sleeping. I sleep with a smile on my face now because look at this scenario. They built him up to be this great guy. Look at Morning Joe. Every single day, those freaking hacks were like, he's the best I've ever seen him. He's the smartest. Now he's like, oh, God, this guy, they're all freaking hacks. They're all pieces of trash. And I love it because now they're turning on him. But now look at Biden, Jill, and Hunter are like, no. We're not going anywhere. So now it's this whirlwind. All the billionaire donors are all turning on him. Dude, it makes me so happy. Let them eat their own. Let them just crap the bed. My only fear is that even though all this is going on, they still have the election rigged. They still are going to make you vote for home. They're still going to have all these mail-in ballots. Guys, and I've said this multiple times. Oh my God, I felt like Trump right there. They cannot let him win. Period. Once we all start realizing that these people, look at what they're doing. Look at all the shit that they're going through right now. Look what they did from Hillary to COVID to everything. They will stop at nothing, bro, because they have the power and they don't want to release it. So this next 120 days, bro, strap in because it's going to be freaking wild.
And you've heard it there from the future acting director of Immigration and Custom Enforcement, Vincent Oshana. Very good job, Vinny. Thank you for bringing that story to the table. Let's move on to Epstein. And Vinny, I'm going to come to you first on this one. I'm going to kind of lay out exactly what I found. This is weird because this started unfolding yesterday on Twitter. It was actually the most viral hashtag on Twitter, and that viral hashtag was hashtag Trump pedo files.
Oh my God.
And what this is in regards to, and I would love for anybody here to weigh in at any point because I dug deep. Listen, the reason that I brought this, I am not, Vinny, you mentioned if you speak out against Biden, you get labeled as you're pro-Trump. Yesterday, a guy on Instagram called me a Trump nugget. I didn't know what that meant. It sounds delicious. I bet it'd be the best nugget ever.
That crispy golden brown, delicious, the best.
Realistically, kind of an RFK guy. I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I'm going to vote for Trump. Don't get me wrong. Because look at the alternative that they're running. Mm-hmm. It would be hypocritical to come on here and cover the Epstein files 2 weeks ago when we talked about all of the people that were involved in the file releases, including Palm Beach Police Department, Alexander Acosta. It would be hypocritical to come on and talk about those guys and not talk about what took place yesterday. So I really want to focus on yesterday and the facts because that's what we focused on when we did the previous Epstein. It wasn't speculation. I didn't get on here and go, Bill Clinton this, Bill Clinton that, Bill Gates, Chris Tucker, Africa. No, I stuck to the evidence that I could find. Mm-hmm. Yesterday, this comes out, Vinny, and I can't find any evidence of it. Here's the story from Raw Story. Congressman shames media for ignoring Trump's name in newly released Epstein documents. This came out yesterday. House Democrats met Tuesday to discuss Joe Biden's candidacy, but one lawmaker, Ted Lieu, a Democrat from California, wanted to know why the press has spent a second week on Biden's cognitive decline rather than looking at recently released Florida court documents in which Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump seem to be colluding together. This is very interesting. Here's the video if we could play. This is Ted Lieu yesterday, Vinny. This is him outside of the this is him doing a press conference where they're supposed to be talking about Biden's cognitive decline, but instead Ted Lieu goes on in front of the mainstream media and he discusses hold on, I think we're going to find the video right here. This is where he claims that the media is ignoring, for the first time, isn't this weird? Why would the media ignore a bad story about Donald Trump? The media has spent since 2015 when he announced his candidacy until now, the past 9 years. It's not in there. I need that video, Kelly. Let me see if I can find it to you and send it to you on Slack.
By the way, while she's looking for it, I just sent Kelly this thing too. Ted Lieu, who I think is a freaking Democrat hack, Liz Kruken, I just sent this to Kelly. Did you guys know this? This guy, Ted Lieu, was hanging out with a guy named Buck. What's his last name? I forgot his last name, but this guy's what's his name? In 2020, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison for a convicted serial killer. And I have Ted Lieu. Look at this. This is Ted Lieu hanging out with this guy. Yeah, weird.
Wow.
Ted Lieu. Brother, these guys are disgusting. Ted Lieu is, dude, he is literally the swamp. When you think of the swamp, that's him. He's the guy that Candace Owens destroyed in Congress because he's a race baiting, disgusting human being. He has no soul as well. And bro, I'm happy. He's just, and Rob, and tell me whenever you're ready. These are the type of people, bro. They are told. They don't come up with this. They don't do the research that we do. They're told, hey, listen, this is a nothing story. This is a nothing burger. Take it. Go say this in front of the camera. That's it. I'm pretty sure they got dirt on that little pervert himself.
And Vinny, it's been all over Twitter because I was like, well, it was really weird. It started actually on Monday where I started seeing people going, why is the media ignoring the Trump-Epstein connection? Well, why would the media ignore that? Answer that question. Why would the media ignore after they've drugged this guy through the dirt over the past 9 years, 6 years, whatever, however long it's been, destroying his reputation? Why now would they back off? Here's the video of Ted Lieu, the Democratic congressman, where he calls out the media for, covering for Trump and his Epstein connection. Kelly, if we could play the video.
So like Chairman Aguilar said, we hear a lot from our constituents on different issues, but something I've heard that doesn't seem to be being covered are the Epstein files. These files were released, and like Donald Trump sort of all over this, right? There are pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein. He's taken multiple plane flights with Epstein with young girls on board. He is on call logs with Epstein. One of the highest trending hashtags on Twitter right now is about Trump and Epstein. I'm not going to repeat the hashtag because we're in a dignified setting. But yeah, y'all might want to look at that because that's highly disturbing. And again, it shows that Donald Trump is unfit for office. And by the way, he was convicted in a civilian court for sexual assault, convicted in a separate court of 34 felonies. Donald Trump should drop out of the race.
Those are you talk about talking points. He ended the press conference with those talking points. Make sure you hit home on the E. Jean Carroll. Make sure you hit home on the 34 felony convictions.
Yes, Robbie, and he wants to talk about, guys, he wants to talk about trending. You know what's trending on Twitter? A bunch of people are posting this, and I'm going to show it. Reminder, Ted Lieu is trending. He was hanging out with a longtime friend, Ed Buck, who was sentenced to 30 years in prison for killing and drugging young black men. And that's him again. Since Ted Lieu, well, you want to be out there putting people's shit on blast? By the way, it's all BS. Like, did that sound like it came from the heart? And look at how they automatically go back to, for sexual assault. That was sexual assault was E. Jean Carroll, a psychotic person, okay, and the other one was convicted felon. All BS, all nonsense. They're grasping for straws because Donald Trump is a freaking rocket ship right now, and they're trying to poke holes in the fuselage to make it come down. It ain't gonna happen, Ted Lieu. You're a disgusting. If I had to guess of a lineup of people that had a micro penis, it'd be Ted Lieu, 100%.
Yeah,
well,
Vinny,
as a guy with a micro penis, we know our own, and I can tell you, Vinny, you're right. Ted Lieu definitely has a micro penis.
Hey, come on. I mean, if I was a Trump campaign, I'd be suing this guy immediately. And the second thing, they can't stop Trump. Did you guys see him the other day at Trump Doral?
Last night.
Last night in Miami. He's an unstoppable force of nature. I was working late. I go like, oh, Trump is live on YouTube. He spoke for 3 hours. And by hour 3, he was still being funny. And they don't even know what to do. Like, why would you, like, if you have something solid, okay, like this, if the accusation was real, you just keep it there. But you need to throw the other 3 points on the bottom. So if that one doesn't stick, you get 2 more points. This BS. So I'm calling it a psyop.
I wanted to stick with the evidence because this is the rabbit hole I fell down last night. Was okay. What is the evidence that Trump is in these documents? There were only 3 news sources that I could find that were actually reporting on any type of Trump-Epstein ties, but none of them were discussing newly released information. Take a look at this. This is from the Raw Story article that I showed you before. According to Raw Story, Trump called Epstein many times between 2004 and 2006, the Washington Post cited in documents. Okay, can we pull up the Washington Post article? Because they hyperlink the Washington Post article. This one. Judge releases Epstein grand jury records from criminal case in Florida. This is from July 1st. This is the same article that every news source that's repeating or that's reporting on the Trump-Epstein connection cites. This is the article where they're saying Trump is in this newly released documents, phone records, flight logs. It's there. Okay, so I go to the website. I read the story. And Kelly, if you could pull up the first photo, what I did was I hit Control F and I put in Trump. And I found all of the times that Trump were mentioned in the article. 3 times. Here are the 2 of them. Many of his victims and his wealth and connections led to the state attorney in Palm Beach County, this is in reference to Epstein, as well as the U.S. Attorney's Office in Miami to treat him with indifference. Epstein was connected to powerful people across the world, including Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, and Britain's Prince Andrew. That's mention number 1. Mention number 2, former Miami U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta, who later became Donald Trump's Labor Secretary, approved a secret agreement in which Epstein pleaded guilty lesser state charges rather than federal prosecution. So those are the only 2. The third one, Kelly, could you pull up the third? This is the third. Is this the right one? Washington Post. The third time, I can't, maybe I didn't send it. I apologize. The third mention of Trump's name in the entire article was in a search bar with other linked stories. Read more about Donald Trump. So the only 3 times that Trump is mentioned in the article in which everybody is citing as the source for information in which Trump has connections to Epstein that have never been released before have no evidence of Trump being connected with Epstein or evidence that has never been released before. It doesn't exist.
Right.
Vague sentences says Trump is connected to him.
So what it is it's a hashtag on Twitter that people are reporting that now a U.S. congressman, although micropenis maybe, stands in front of the entire world and then spouts. And what this goes back to, okay, there's a Vox article. Vinny, the complaint about this is a 2006 lawsuit filed by a woman. Her name is, I apologize, Ashley Johnson? Katie Johnson. This woman claims that at 13 years old, she was raped by Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. She claims in court documents, which she ended up dropping the lawsuit, and I'll go through this really quickly because you're going to see this online. Trump raped a 13-year-old girl. Read the court documents. Okay, go and actually read the court documents. The lawsuit was dropped. So go read the story and the reporting from 2016 when this story first came out and see if there's any evidence that Trump is connected to Epstein. Again, I'm not defending Trump. So if this comes off as if I'm defending Trump, it's not. If Trump was involved in pedophilia activities, I would want him prosecuted just as if every other pedophile that does things to underage kids, we should hold them all accountable. Every single one should be put to death if they're convicted of being a pedophile. That being said, there's no evidence that Trump is connected other than some flight logs, and we'll get to that. But here is the 2016 reporting, Vinny, on Vox about this lawsuit. The woman files a lawsuit against Trump. The woman actually files the lawsuit, but there's weird things about the lawsuit. For instance, the lawsuit is pushed by a guy named Steve Baer. He is it's promoted to the media by Steve Baer, an anti-Trump activist and conservative activist and donor with a very influential email list. The woman, who goes by several different pseudonyms, including Katie Johnson and Jane Doe, ends up hiring Lisa Bloom, Gloria Allred's daughter, to represent her at a press conference where she is going to tell the world about Donald Trump raping her when she's 13. However, the day of that press conference, the woman no-shows. 2 days later, she drops her lawsuit against Donald Trump. And then there's one person who speaks to this woman who's claiming, and again, everywhere on Twitter, this is the story that everybody is saying implicates Donald Trump in pedophilia activities with Jeffrey Epstein. There's one woman that speaks to this person making this claim. Her name is Emily Shergman. She is with The Revivalist. She conducts an interview with this woman just days after she drops the lawsuit against Donald Trump. By the way, the woman, when she files the lawsuit, the address that's listed in the documents for the lawsuit for her, stating that it's her address, was actually a foreclosed abandoned home. The phone number that's listed in the documents that she files in court disconnected. So none of this makes sense. But the woman goes and interviews this person over the phone. She says when she's speaking with Johnson, the woman claiming that Trump did this, her voice sounds muffled and far away when she answers. She speaks softly because she didn't want anyone to overhear her. Several times she paused mid-sentence. She was vague in her descriptions of Epstein's parties, how many people were there, who was there, and wouldn't go into details about what she was asked to do. And the woman concludes in her article, the only person to have spoken to this 13-year-old victim, or who was 13 at the time that she was victimized, she ends her article. Shergman ends the Revivalist article with this quote, and I quote, "I don't know if the Katie Johnson I spoke to is the same girl who Trump allegedly raped in 1994, or if that girl even exists." This is the story that Ted Lieu went up in front of everybody and started spouting, and this is what's going to be spouted all over Twitter. And if you could show this real quick, Kelly, these are flight logs. I'd like to show you these flight logs. These are flight logs of the former president with Jeffrey Epstein. 2002, Miami to Westchester. 2002, New York City to London. We can go through all of them. There's 26 of them. Those are the flight logs proving that a former president was on Jeffrey Epstein's jet. The problem is those flight logs do not implicate Donald Trump. Those are the flight logs of the former president William Jefferson Clinton, who was on the flight with Jeffrey Epstein 26 different times. So if we're going to open this can of worms, Kelly, show the next one. These are the flight logs that actually show Donald Trump was on Jeffrey Epstein's jet. There's 5 of them in 1997, 93, 93, 94, 95, all of them locally to Teterboro Airport or West Palm. So he never went to the island. In fact, Jeffrey Epstein didn't even own the island at that time. And most of these flights involve Donald Trump flying with his children, including let's see, Eric was on the flight, Ivanka was on a flight. So why would you bring your children with you to go fly with a convicted pedophile who was not convicted yet to rape underage kids with your kids present? Come on, guys. Yeah. The whole fucking thing is a side.
Well, that's why the establishment newspapers aren't even talking.
Vinny, go ahead. I want Vinny's input first, then we'll go around the table.
Yeah, I do. And you guys all know the game plan. If you want to try to destroy somebody, automatically throw woman, rape, kid. It's like, shut the hell up. If they had anything on Donald Trump, anything, like meaning he was in a room with an underage girl and they recorded it at Epstein's house or the island, which he never went to, do you think, guys, let's be real, that wouldn't have been released? Are you, whoever's watching this that leans to the left, you're an idiot if you don't think any of that proof would have been out already 7.5 years later. This is a nothing story. They are grasping for anything. It's not going to work. That's their game plan. They tried it with, what's his name? Andrew Tate. They do it with everybody, bro. The moment somebody's getting too big and they're opening their mouth and they're pushing back, what happens, guys? They go after your freaking character. They get a woman to get involved. They go after your bank account. And their last resort is that they have to kill you. And that's it. Let's just be honest with each other, bro. Nobody believes this shit. Some idiot on Instagram, I'm shocked I even gave him this energy. He was like, oh, like a gotcha. What do you think about this? Fact checked it, fake. The girl said it never happened. I go, bro, this is the tactic that you guys do, and nobody's believing it. A small little fringe of people are, nobody else.
I agree.
No,
Let's go to Brandon
yeah, no,
first.
I'm-
Brandon, then Humberto, Shane, and Connor, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
Yeah, I would venture to say that this Lou guy is kind of like an ambitious outsider of the establishment that didn't even have the permission of the establishment to go ahead and make this claim, because, you know, if people like Pelosi and Schumer and all the mainstream media sites aren't talking about, then it's a super nothing story, because, you know, they've moved heaven and earth to almost manufacture a lot of things that, you know, you could prove beyond doubt that aren't true. So I think that they're fearful to even touch this and open up this can of worms to, you know, open the door for what the people they're friends with actually did with Epstein. So I don't think the establishment wants to touch this at all in association with Trump. That's the most logical thing I can think of for why they're not mentioning it.
Humberto.
This is called in the business, it's called circular reporting. Okay, so this is what you do: you grab a news stories from the past that has some hot line that you can, you know, get out there, you know, like the, you know, whatever caught your attention and got the hashtag going. So you report from that story on the story. It doesn't matter if the story is true. You make another story and another story and another story, and you start looping the stories so the source is never known. And then you get 50 to 100 guys to retweet the video or retweet the article, and you get the ball rolling. Like this is like intelligence, you know, 101, super easy to do, terrible execution, and that's what it is.
And here's the thing. I kept finding, so I went down the rabbit hole. I started looking into the call. I went back to the call logs. I wanted to see the information that the Palm Beach County prosecutor released last week. Is Trump in the call logs? He's not. I scrolled through all 47 pages of the call logs, most of them redacted. So unless these people that are on Twitter have redacted info and they're tweeting that out, there's no implication of Trump in the flight logs. And the only relationship he had with Epstein ended in 2002 before the sex accusations, when they had a falling out after Epstein was inappropriate with a girl at Mar-a-Lago and Trump kicked him out and said, I never want to have a relationship with this guy again.
I'm just want to ask you, how many of you, like Robs, that will go through all the trouble there is out there, and how many of people like you have a microphone to call it out? So it is what it is. It's almost like you can't fail. Like it's the easiest way to do it.
Shane?
And yeah, even though it's that easy, they're still not picking it up besides this one guy. And also, where was Ted Lieu about all the other people who were indicted in the Epstein flight logs? Where was he about Bill Clinton, about Bill Gates, about Prince Andrew, about any of the elite who have been to the island, and that we know they've been to the island? There was a painting of Bill Clinton at the island. Has he ever tweeted about that or held a press conference about that? And then also, the one thing that you always see about Trump and Epstein is this quote where Trump says, I hear Jeff likes him young. I've never actually seen this quote substantiated, but even, like, let's just assume he said that. Trump was probably saying this about Epstein's numerous 20-year-old girlfriends who he had, and that we know he's had because they've been quoted in numerous reports. And, like, if Trump was hanging out with him in the 90s, that was before Epstein even started doing the West Palm Beach rapes, way before the island. So this is like, we're going back 10 years before Epstein started engaging in these pedophilic activities. And to quote Trump in that context and apply it to the 2000 and on context is literally misinformation. That's the true definition of it. And then also, like, Trump, like as Vinny said, if they really had something, you would absolutely know about it. There's no way in hell that they wouldn't be blaring this everywhere. And it just goes back to the, like I was saying before, the press is not the press and the politicians are not the politicians. This guy is unjust. He's not looking for justice against Epstein's victims. He's simply trying to take down probably the one guy in political life that isn't tainted by Epstein.
It's
Trump.
even scummier. He's discrediting all of the actual victims who were victimized by Jeffrey Epstein and then focusing on ones who weren't with Trump. So he's using all of the vicious rape and molestation that's happened to those poor innocent victims, and he's using that to get people outraged at Donald Trump for something that didn't happen.
It's actually evil.
Connor, final words.
And I just want to drill home on something real quick here. If Rob Gargiulo going down a rabbit hole is not enough to dig up evidence on something, that thing likely does not exist. Because you go deep, man. You go deeper than most people I have interacted with on these subjects. Rob's described, the way he searches these things. Like, if it's not showing up on what Rob is looking for, it's not out there to be found right now. So the fact that they're trying to build this whole thing out of, like Humberto said, the false appeals to authority of The people citing stories that are citing stories that are citing stories.
Circular reporting.
Circular reporting, false appeals to authority, the citation circle jerk, as it's often called. It's the worst, most underhanded journalistic tactic they can come up with. But that article you showed that has the claims already treats connections between Trump and Epstein like an established fact. It's in the documents. The documents prove that Trump was connected to Epstein and Epstein was connected to Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew. Okay, what documents? Because the only citations you can find on that are things citing, this guy said he saw the documents. Okay, but what documents? Nobody can actually confirm what those are. But this is how narratives take shape. They don't want Bill Clinton to be connected to Epstein. They don't want Bill Gates to be connected. They don't want Prince Andrew. They don't want all these other public figures. But they really want Trump to be connected to Epstein. They would just love for Donald Trump to have abused a 13-year-old girl. That would be the perfect thing, because they know that even diehard Trump people would be like, okay, obviously I'm not going to support him if he molested a 13-year-old. So that's what they're going for now. And I think to Brandon's point is probably correct. Ted Lieu probably didn't have elite establishment permission to bring that up. He just saw it on Twitter and decided to go for it.
Yeah.
And great. Now a member of Congress said it, so I guess it's a matter of public record now. It's trending. The pedophiles.
Yesterday it was 158,000. When I saw it last night, 158,000 times it had been tweeted. It was like the number 2 trending story in the entire United States.
Awesome.
Guys, thank you very much for going down that rabbit hole with me. Thank you, Vinny. And let's jump over to Brandon, who's going to talk about some dark mystery. Is this a dark mystery? What are we getting into?
I am so excited for this story.
This might be the darkest, creepiest mystery you've ever heard of, Rob.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We just covered pretty dark and creepy, but all right, go ahead. You got something worse than pedophile CIA Mossad rings?
Well, there's not much worse in the sense of evil than that, but this is in terms of creepy and mysterious and mind-blowing. This is up there. So you ever hear of the Dyatlov Pass incident that took place in the Soviet Union?
Sorry, say that again.
I'm trying to rush through it so I don't, because my Russian accent's not great. Dyatlov.
Oh, I thought he said Dyke Love. That's weird. I was like, what? Okay, go ahead.
How is it again? Give me one more.
Dyatlov Pass.
Dyatlov Pass. Okay, so ready? February 1st, 1959, a group of 9 highly experienced Russian hikers / skiers, they set out for a venture where they're basically trying to go from grade 2 hikers to grade 3 hikers by going on this mountain hike in Siberia, like middle of nowhere, Russia. You can see here on the map, that dot right there is where it was in Russia. So absolutely nothing going on out there. So it's insane they were doing this in the first place. The day later, all 9 of them mysteriously just suddenly died in the most gruesome ways you could ever imagine. So here's some of the things that happened that had the investigators' mind blown. So the first 2 people they found, so it's minus 30 degrees there, right? All of a sudden, they cut a hole outside from like the inside of their tent to escape, run away from the tent in their underwear in minus 30-degree temperature.
Have you guys ever been, Vinny? I know you were stationed in Montana. I know it gets cold there. Have you ever been in negative temperatures? We did. Remember when it was 2014?
It's different.
There was a thing called the polar vortex when I was living in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And the temperature dropped to the negatives. And back then I smoked cigarettes. And I had to go outside to smoke. And it was like, it was to the point where breathing in hurt.
Right.
So to go into negative 30. Well, Vinny, do you remember, like, did it ever get to the negatives when you were in Montana?
What do you, minus 50 or I forgot with wind chill? Bro, it was to the point where if you stood outside and took a breath in, all the nose hairs turned into icicles on them. And then I remember when I was there, 2 kids that just got to Montana that were never dealt with the snow or whatever, they went out and they were like, we're going to go hiking because we're excited to be here. Bro, they lost because it started snowing. They couldn't find their way back. They died that night. Two people. Yeah, bro, the cold is nothing to play games with. If you don't have the proper gear to stay overnight, bro, and your body goes into hypothermia, you're finito, bro. It's not like, complain all you want about the heat. You never want to deal with the cold, especially, dude, Russia? Are you freaking crazy?
Familiar
Even
with
if you are in Dyatlov Pass or Dyatlov, I don't know what the hell it's called.
No, but familiar with the story as well. Like, these guys were certified ski instructors
they're
and
pros.
experienced hikers who knew how to hike in Siberia.
So what the hell would be so terrifying to you that they because the way they would insulate this thing, they tied their tent shut, with a really secure thing, so it would take a while to undo it. But the evidence showed they spontaneously, frantically cut a hole from the inside of their tent to run out of it. All 9 of them run out in different directions. The first 2 people they find them next to a tree. Their hands are worn down to nubs because they've been frantically trying to climb up a tree. They found flesh as high as 16 feet up on the tree as if they're trying to get away from something. So I don't know how the hell you explain that. Then the next people they find about somewhere between like a mile away from those people, their skulls bashed in. Their chest is caved in, the investigators said, in a way that looked like they got hit by a car. Couldn't have been caused by humans.
Jeez.
Yeah, and then what else with that one? So and then the next 4 people, they were found 2 months later, and some of them had their eyeballs removed. One of them was frozen in position as if they were screaming. Their tongue was removed, and there's like enough blood inside their stomach to indicate that they were the tongue was removed while the person was alive.
Is that him?
That's one of the frozen people, yeah. But so that's another weird thing too, is the last people that were found, they did have clothes on as if they were like they had taken clothes from the other people. So all kinds of things, and then there was radioactive debris detected on their clothing too.
The fuck?
Yeah.
So was it like
Dude, that's aliens. You already know that's aliens.
Well, so
That's
there's
it.
a couple theories behind this. So some of them are, one that was there's an avalanche. That's the official narrative of Russia, by the way. I mean, I don't think that would cause like the some of the damage to the people, but like the radioactive stuff, the tongue being ripped out, the eyes being ripped out, like why'd they run out of their thing in their underwear in the first place? And then some people say there's potentially secret military testing going on. They came across something they weren't supposed to see. Then there's a really creepy one, stories about the Mansi people who spoke of cursed lands and sinister unseen forces that roam the mountains. They believed hikers had disturbed something ancient and evil. Some people speculate maybe it was a Yeti that did this. Some say that there's reports of there was orange lights flashing around the sky that night, so they think maybe aliens could have been involved. One of the investigators said that, quote, I suspected at the time and now almost sure that the bright flying spears had a direct connection to the group's death. And one interesting thing, so this is the last picture that was taken on the camera from one of the photographers, and the camera's the only thing that they grabbed, not their shoes, not their clothing, not their knives, not their flashlights, but they grabbed the camera, and this was the last picture taken. So don't know what the hell it is, but it's one of the things that's obsessed about and speculated on. Like, why is there a bright light in front of the camera in a place that was pitch dark?
You gotta get it from the cam.
So to this day, the Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of the most perplexing mysteries in modern history, despite continuous investigations. These official narratives that was an avalanche. Visitors to the area to this day report an eerie feeling as the mountain itself is watching, waiting, and on the dark, moonless nights, some claim to hear the desperate cries of the hikers. So, what do you guys think? What makes the most sense based off all the evidence?
Vinny first.
Oh well, dude, listen. Anybody like, but I love these type of things because obviously there's so many options. But the fact that you're saying that this type of blunt force to the chest cavity and the head and all that stuff, bro. Let me explain something to you. After reading that book, Chaos, that Candace told me to read by Tom. Damn, I forgot his name.
About the CIA and the Manson stuff.
Let me explain something to you. Our government would take people, drug them, try to make them put electrodes in their head, try to make them by remote control murder each other. Then when they wouldn't do it, they would just kill the people and then burn them alive. So knowing that, and that's just a small part of what they do, and that's just our government.
Yeah.
Who knows what they were doing? Maybe they did stumble upon something that they didn't see, but it doesn't, listen, with all the evil forces out there, I wouldn't put it past some other crazy shit happening. I think the fact that people think that, there's no way that could have happened. Or there's no way this, how can you explain? Because if these are facts, Brandon, 16 feet climbing a tree in freezing ass Russia, that doesn't sound like that's normal. Or having their chest caved into where you're like, okay, there's no way that a human being could have done that. I mean, dude, who knows what the hell happened? I mean, and again, it's been so freaking long. It's not like they're going to try to get to the bottom of it now. You know what I mean?
I go with Yeti. I love, I do it right away because I love Bigfoot. I am obsessed because there's so much of the world that we have not discovered, which is always amazing to me. We spend all of this money to travel outside, allegedly. If you believe Bryce Mitchell, we've never been to space. But if we have penetrated the firmament and there is a thing called space, we spend all this money to investigate space, an area we have no idea about. But the planet that we live on, we haven't gone to the deepest depths of the oceans. We haven't gone to the highest points of the mountains. I mean, when I went to Colorado and we went hiking through an abandoned ski lodge, and at one point, my buddy and I, we were on mushrooms, but I was fine. This was a long time ago. I'm walking through the hills, and a lot of it, actually, because we started panicking, because we're like, why is this ski town abandoned? Where'd everybody go? What happened to all the people? And then you start looking around, and you're like, oh, wow, look how much space there is. Look at how much land goes uncovered. So, I do a lot of driving across the state of Florida. I do a lot of stand-up. A lot of the stand-up, Vinny, driving is 90% of the gig. The 10% is getting on stage and telling the jokes. The other 90 is writing the jokes and driving to the gigs.
Yeah.
I do a lot of driving, and there's a lot of this state that is untouched. You'll go across, it's not just people go Alligator Alley, the Everglades. It's not just the Everglades. You go up to where I live in Palm Beach, and you cut across to go to Tampa. It's not the Everglades. It's still swampland, but it's flat. But there's miles and miles and acres upon acres of undiscovered land that people have never touched. So to me, the idea that there's creatures on this planet that we have not discovered seems 100% logical. And to me, I go, Bigfoot's one of them.
Right. But how does it rip their eyeballs out with precision?
Because Bigfoot. That's how.
But their face wasn't messed up. There's no claw marks or anything. Precision eyeballs taken out, precision tongue taken out.
Now,
and no evidence of other people being around, by the way.
The official explanation that they went with was that it was predation on the bodies by, small scavengers, birds, mice, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That, the birds will pluck the eyes out of a corpse or go after the tongue because it's the easiest thing to eat. But that doesn't explain how this was done on bodies that were buried.
Right.
And this goes back to the avalanche explanation, which doesn't make any sense because, first of all, there was no sign of an avalanche at that area when they went because they found the first bodies within a few days.
Yep.
They looked around. The slope had no sign of an avalanche. There was no, and also, like I said, these were experienced hikers and skiers. Everybody knows not to pitch your tent where there could be an avalanche.
Right.
It's very obvious when there might be one. You know not to camp there. The bodies down the hill that were found way later, they said, they were buried in the avalanche. Well, then why weren't the ones uphill buried? But also that they were under only about 4 feet of snow, which is not enough to have come from an avalanche, but enough to come from snowfall. But if they're buried, how are their animals scavenging off the corpses? Nobody can really answer that. The avalanche explanation makes no sense. But so many other things don't add up about this either.
You set me up. We were talking about this yesterday, and I'm gonna steal what you said because
steal what I said.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm your resident misinformation czar here. Every time you get to 90% of solving this, I know way too much about this case, by the way. And the most gangster thing about the case is that the Russians, this is the Russians being Russian, open casket. All the bodies mangled, open casket.
Yep. And they were all discolored, by the way.
Hold on.
Weird looking.
Before we move on, so you were aware of this, and you were aware of this, and you were aware of this.
Yeah.
So 3 of the 6 people on this podcast, Vinny, were you aware of this story before?
No, hold on. No, absolutely not. And what just hit me again was, what the hell is radioactive? What'd you say that was on the bodies?
Yeah, there was they detected radiation on their clothing, high levels of radiation.
High levels,
and their eyebrows are burned off too.
Yeah, they didn't have a field trip to Chernobyl and then came the hiking thing. There's no explanation for that. That's dude. That is like, if you had to really stop for a second and say, why do they have plutonium? What was it? Radiation?
Yeah,
from
radiation
plutonium?
on clothing.
What, dude? What explanation do you have unless maybe whatever got them that came from somewhere else has this type of stuff on their vehicle or on them, or I don't. Dude, no. So Rob, to answer your question, no, I had no idea.
So, and Shane, did you know about this story before?
No, I had no idea.
All right. So it's not super well known. You 3 knew about it. All right, Humberto, go back, because I was just wondering how well known is this theory?
There's been a lot of movies and documentaries about it.
But the thing is, there's like 6 solid theories. They all get to the 90% mark.
Something obliterates it,
and something just destroys the theory. So my spidey sense tingles up. Government cover up. Like Brendan, he didn't include the Gulag theory because there was a Gulag there, and they thought prisoners escaped and they raped and killed everyone. And then there's a few more, but every time you get to 90%, okay, that's that. Like the avalanche theory, aliens, fireballs, government cover up. You get to 90%. So I think they mess with the scene enough so you can never know what's true or not. Then again, these are communists. All they do is lie. Everything goes back to communism.
Yeah. Well, speaking of communists, my thought was apparently Stalin tried to create an ape-man hybrid, where he was trying to do genetic engineering and create a super soldier for the Soviet Union. I'm pretty sure this is real.
Yeah.
So that would explain the radiation, and then that thing could have just been hanging out in the Siberian wastes, just chasing people, or it was Ed Buck and Ted Lieu.
Because here's the other thing I wanted to mention that doesn't make any sense. They found footprints of the people fleeing the tent, and they were not spaced out like people sprinting. They were the distance of people leisurely walking. So they frantically cut their way out of the tent and then leisurely walked off into the blizzard, where they then sustained violent injuries, and like the chest cavities caved in like they were beaten with pressure. Didn't leave soft tissue damage like being punched. It was like an impact that caused that damage without bruising to the surrounding area.
Oh yeah, that's right too. No outside wounds. It was all internal.
Nothing to indicate that they sustained a beating, but their entire chest was flattened like a pancake.
Before we move on, because I want to give Shane, we have to get to sperm donors. Very important topic, so do not leave the podcast. I wanted to verify what you said. There's a guy named Ilya Ivanov. He was born in July of 1870, died in March of 1932. He was a Russian and Soviet biologist who specialized in the field of artificial insemination and interspecific hybridization of animals. He is famous for his controversial attempts to create a human-ape hybrid by inseminating 3 female chimpanzees with human sperm.
Wow.
So this does exist.
Fucking communist.
Man.
Yeah. Communist. What can you do?
Communist. What can you do about it?
Well, speaking of sperm, let's move on to the next topic. Shane, I want to hear more. Is this your announcement? Because it says Shane on sperm donor. Shane, are you donating your sperm?
This is not my side hustle. It's actually a Netflix documentary.
Writer by day at VT.com, sperm donor by night.
Sperm donor by night. So
connect with him on Monect if you're interested.
No, but so this guy, he's the subject of a new Netflix documentary. Let's play the trailer first.
Is that Kato Kalin? Yeah. Look at him.
He's an interesting fellow. So we're going to play the trailer first, and then I'm going to read about his lawsuit against Netflix in light of the documentary, and then I'm going to pass it over to you guys, where we will discuss what do you think about this?
Before we play the video, has anybody here ever donated sperm?
No.
Do you pay money for it? I'm a pure blood right here.
Yeah, me too. That's well, what's worth more, I guess. Your pure blood or your sperm?
I don't know.
I mean, months ago, I wrote a thing about how unvaxxed sperm was going for a premium at sperm banks around Europe and the U.S.
Yeah, I have a joke about driving, and I saw a guy that on the back windshield of the minivan, he painted for sale unvaxxed sperm, $3,000. I'll come to you. I swear to God, this exists. People think that I made this up. I tell this joke.
I'll come to you.
That's beautiful.
I tell this joke at the
Did he
Daniel
spell it the dirty way?
Well, yeah, no, he spelled it the right way.
Okay.
It was like a minivan, so the guy was not doing well off. Like you can tell, he painted it on there. But the funny part is, I told that joke, and then a guy stood up in the audience, and he had a shirt that said "unvaxxed sperm, $3,000 alone." I'm like, what the fuck? This is a thing?
There he is.
All right, so let's play the video. This is the guy, the Netflix documentary, Kato Kalin, sperm donor. Hit it, Kelly.
What if I were to tell you that there is a man alive today who may have fathered over 1,000 children? What kind of man would do that?
I always wanted to be a mom. We wanted to have a family together.
A sperm donor is making up 50% of your child.
I got to know him on the internet.
He had curly hair.
We really hope that our kids have his hair.
We were totally sold. I'm ready to have beautiful babies.
9 months later, I had a baby boy.
But that wonderment was totally ripped from us. She said, your donor is quite famous. This guy is a serial donor.
How many? How many children do you have now?
It was a shock.
He lied.
There weren't 4 families or 5 families. There were already hundreds.
It's become an addiction for him. He actually can't stop himself.
It's a worldwide problem.
He has no intentions of stopping.
Why are you
You're making
losing
money, Rob.
so many children on this earth?
The problem's getting bigger and bigger. You cannot stop him.
When you're breeding livestock and cattle, that is more right.
You can't stop him.
Something like this never happened before. It's a very dangerous situation.
We didn't think that this could get any more twisted, but it did.
My God, what is going on?
I'm going to take you down with a bunch of
We'll really
other
make a
moms who will
documentary
stand
about
behind me.
everything.
We were determined to stop him. Don't mess with a mom.
It almost seems like a parody with how serious they're being about it.
All right, so this guy, his name is.
You lost 1776, fuckers. Go
That's
ahead.
right.
This guy's name is Jonathan Meyer. He's a Dutch dude. He's planning to sue Netflix for slander on grounds that they spread misinformation about his life. He says that he only fathered roughly 550 children across the world, not 1,000 as the documentary alleges. He also says that the film lied, that he tried to mix his sperm with a friend's to see whose sperm would win out in the competition. He said that's a complete lie. That never happened.
Could you imagine that conversation? Hey, I got an idea. No, believe me, it's not because I want to do it. It's for scientific research.
Oh, of course. And then this was the funny part. He was like,
oh, this was the funny part.
Yes, this is the real part. He goes, he says he said somewhere where he's like, he's like watching the trailer on YouTube and he goes, this is dangerous. He's only thinking about himself. He's like, thinking about myself. I was doing a service to others, okay? I was trying to help people out. I was doing a selfless thing, which was, I don't know, interesting take on it. But so the weird thing about all this is that they're so mad at him. Why are they mad at him? The one legitimate reason they say that they have is because this could cause incest potentially. There's 100 children born in the Netherlands, so kind of close region, and they might not know that someone is their sibling and they would, accidentally commit incest. But the 1,000 children he allegedly had were all over the world, so I don't see how the incest thing works out. There's 8 billion people on the planet.
Yeah.
But mostly what you see is all these women who thought that they were lied to because they thought they had this kind of like one-on-one connection with this dude, and these are like lesbian ladies and they're like, we thought we were special, but instead he was giving his sperm to everyone else. And it's like they almost think that he was like cheating on them, so it gets very psychological. And also what's funny is that in the show they show how like they had so many options for the sperm and they went through everything. And they all decided on this guy. They all cited his blonde hair and how he said that he was a investment banker and was making a good amount of money and that he was intelligent. So they all selected for intelligence, blonde hair, and all these like stereotypically eugenic traits.
Like somebody else we know.
Yeah.
Now they're gonna get a bunch of douchebags wearing Hawaiian shirts and ponytails.
Hey, easy on him.
So like all these lesbian ladies are pissed off. Saying that he's the douchebag or whatever. Meanwhile, they are the ones asking for his sperm and committing eugenics through doing this. So, first of all, what do you guys think? Is he in the wrong?
Hell no.
Should he face punishment? And also, would you guys do this if you could?
Let's go to Vinny first. Vinny?
Yeah, no, dude, first of all, and I mean, I'm happy that you said it's a bunch of lesbian women that are now trying to have kids, and now you're mad at the product that you have. Not at all. Because listen, this is how the world works. I'm sorry to wake all these people up. You find a man that you like, that you have a relationship with, that you want to raise a family and have children with, and then you move on from there. Doing this whole, I'm going to pick and choose and I'm a lesbian. This guy's not going to, that's good for you. You get what you want and you get what you ask for. And this is the type of shit that happens when you're going against the grain and you're going against what God wants. You're supposed to meet the person, fall in love with them, figure out if it's going to work out, have a baby. If God, blesses you with the fact that you guys can both do it, then you do it. This is rolling the dice and then guess what? This is exactly what happens. You got freaking a Hulk Hogan looking dude with freaking Hawaiian shirts with the shell necklaces. Now do it. And they're like, we're never going to find out how many he did. Just wait a couple of years, wait 20 years. And when you see douchebags walking around with Hawaiian shirts, you're like, he actually banged more than 550. But I think it's hilarious. I don't fault him for it. If he was getting paid for it, good for him. I mean, I do hope that they're not all, the majority of them are in the Netherlands, because that would suck. But if they're worldwide, good for him, bro. Look at the birth rate. The birth rate in America is what? The lowest it's ever been, 1.5, 1.6. Yeah. Bring his ass to the United States. Have him have him hook up with like Rosie O'Donnell's and all these freaking losers that have barely have any kids. Let's put that son of a bitch to work.
Like a horse, that's what they do. That's what they do with the horses. When you have a male horse that wins a race, they're like, all right, we got to get that sperm and we got to impregnate other horses.
It's so rare to see a white European guy who actually wants to reproduce now. That doesn't happen very often
So
anymore.
that was the other thing I was going to bring up. Then there's this guy, a Zimbabwean man named Mishek Nyandoro, who has fathered over 150 children with his 16 wives, and he intends to sire 1,000.
Wow.
He said he's doing this to repopulate his country after the Rhodesian Bushman War,
I
which
should
happened.
do that.
Yeah.
Hey, I need to help replenish America.
Yeah.
Caitlin, I'm sorry. I got to sleep with sluts.
This war happened over 40 years ago, so it doesn't even hold up. But no one has called for him to be punished, and no one's saying that's going to commit incest. This is really a thing about the first world and how ladies in the first world want to just be treated like, royalty and Prince Charming. Meanwhile, in the third world, they've got 16 wives, and they're more than willing to do
He's doing it directly. He's not even donating sperm. He's just marrying 16 women.
Vinny.
Guys, I got an idea, Rob. Valuetainment's going to sponsor this. I'm going to go to every single state in the United States of America, and I'm going to donate and impregnate one woman. So in every single state, if anybody ever asks, dude, where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to go see my kid.
This is the angry patriot campaign. He's going to create 1,000 angry patriots.
With Vinny Oshana.
Yep.
Valuetainment exclusive.
This is going to be weird. I actually kind of, I don't know the relationship that the guy has with the 16 wives and the 150 children, but I would assume if it's all in the same village, he has some type of relationship. I actually kind of respect that more than the guy that's got 1,000 kids out there that he has no connection to. None of you guys understand, because none of you are fathers, and I don't mean that in a bad way. When you become fathers, and I hope all of you do, it's the greatest gift that you'll ever have. That relationship that you have with those children can't be replicated anywhere else. My 14-year-old is the biggest pain in my ass every single day. There's days where he drives me insane. I love him more than anything. And I can't imagine having him be out in this world and not have a relationship with him. So I can't imagine being a guy that has 1,000 offspring of you and you don't have any connection with them. That would eat me alive at night. If I had one kid out there that I didn't have a relationship with, it would bother me to my core. Imagine that times 1,000.
Well, Rob, this is kind of an important point, actually, because we now get into with this the fact that sperm banks, IVF, most of this is done very unethically. And it's presented as like, oh, this is just sperm donors. You're giving the opportunity to somebody to have a kid. Well, like you said, if there's 1,000 children that were made with your material walking around out there and you have no connection to them, a normal person would feel like that weighs on them a little bit. Or with the way the IVF industry is done, okay, we're going to fertilize like 30 eggs at a time
And throw them
and
out.
implant 2 or 3 maybe. The rest of them are either thrown out as medical waste, fully fertilized, functioning potential human beings, or they're condemned to an eternity in a freezer. Because that's the only way to do it. You have to have one of those. You can't implant 30 fertilized eggs at a time.
Or maybe you can. I don't know.
And then you just abort the rest of them is essentially what they do. If too many take hold, they have to kill some of them in order for the rest to survive. So when you start to commoditize human life as a thing you can just buy, like, okay, Shane, to Shane's point, it's basically eugenics. If you flip through a binder, it's like, well, this donor's got blonde hair and blue eyes, but this one went to MIT, so he's smarter. Do you have any of these in a browner shade? I'd like my kid to be a little bit more brown.
And more hireable.
Exactly.
Anyhow.
It's unethical the way it is done.
Connor, I go a step further. These guys, I'm not only not mad at them, they're absolute heroes. We need more people like this. And this is not a thing on you. I know I don't have any children, but he has beautiful hair. I judge people on how beautiful their hair is. Like, my favorite band, metal band from the 80s, is Megadeth because he has the best hair in the business.
He looks like Dave
and this guy has beautiful hair. It's an overachiever. We need more
What a
people.
great story, too, if Dave Mustaine gets fired from Metallica, goes and creates a separate band, and then that band rises to the heights of almost Metallica.
Is the hair. Is the hair. Everything is the hair.
And then he goes on InfoWars and is a conspiracy theorist.
So I'm growing my hair out, and it looks very similar to his hair. So I support it. Make more babies. African tribesmen, make 10 more. And I like he has a political mission behind making babies. Like they killed too many of us. I'm gonna get the population back. People with that kind of drive, because we have all these lazy incels that are just playing video games and masturbating in the bedroom.
Yeah, you hear that, Deli?
Yeah. And this guy comes along with a mission. I'm gonna make as many babies as possible, and this other guy's repopulating Rwanda. So good for them. You guys are heroes, and you're giving me ideas.
Brandon, final word.
Yeah, no. So I mean, first and foremost, I would definitely do this. This is definitely this is something I've been forgetting to sign up for because I'm right there with you. I think it's it's your biological imperative to make sure that you live on, and I totally agree with you in the sense of like wanting to feel connected to your kids, and I could see that, but I could also see people feeling that they aren't truly living anymore if they don't produce a child and have like a child live after them. So the more children you do that with, the more you're gonna have your life live on, increase your odds of like having an impact on the world. So I think it is ethical because you say the argument is going against God's will, but I think God enables us to do these things, and so I don't think it's going against God's will because of that. And
see, I'm for like wait, what? Kelly. I've never
Kelly
heard
wants to jump
Kelly
in for
she's over there murmuring to herself like, what the hell is I have no problem with in vitro fertilization. I don't, because there are couples out there that can't conceive and they want to have a child. I'm for that. The actual sperm donation, that's where it gets tricky to me, because when you hear stories like this, it's like it really removes the human aspect of this. Whereas in vitro fertilization, it's two people who love each other. In most cases, it's two people who love each other. They're having a trouble conceiving.
Their marriage.
It's a man that can't produce or a woman whose egg won't fertilize, and the miracle of science helps them have a child. I'm okay with that. When it gets to this and it's for profit, that's where it's weird. And then when you get into the gene editing and I want a kid with blonde hair, blue eyes, like Vinny said, looks like what do you call him, a douchebag California surfer? Yeah, Dog the Bounty Hunter light. Like that's not what you should be doing with this. It's so much more than that. That's a business. This is life, and it's very precious. And to try and turn it into a business, it's scummy. And wait, so to go back for a second, you're going to donate sperm?
I mean, I would like to explore the possibility of doing that.
So what happens when you run for president in 2036 and the headline is sperm donor Brandon Aceto? Hundreds of kids across the United States
that's more
can't govern them, but wants to govern you.
I would hope that was a voting base.
A booklet of all the horrific things that each president's done, which is all far worse than that. I'll be like, yeah, Obama, Clinton, Bush Senior,
That's amazing. I want to watch
I know
that.
some people are trying to import voters. He's gonna make them. That's what it is.
As it should be.
Exactly. Well said.
You're going to make your own voting base.
Make America white again. Brandon Aceto is going to do it himself.
And then, by the way, the guy in Africa, one of his oldest son already has 4 wives, so it's a family tradition.
Wow.
So you can make it a tradition. All your offspring can be doing this.
Moral of the story, if you want to avoid horrible situations like what's going on in this documentary, just go get your sperm the old-fashioned way. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Or it is. But.
It's not that hard.
That's how I get mine, the old-fashioned. All right, we have 2 stories to go in limited time, so we're going to get through these quickly. Let's go to Connor up next. I love the graphic. Holy shit, I just saw it. The graphic Connor story is so funny, Kelly. Great job.
Yes.
Or whoever designed this.
I made that one myself.
Klaus Schwab, head of the World Economic Forum, he has been accused of creating a toxic work environment. I'm so excited to hear about this. I'm even more excited to hear from Vinny. So you go first, Connor, and then we'll get Vinny's take.
I can't wait to hear Vinny's feedback on this. But speaking of people who might want to donate sperm, we got Klaus Schwab, the 86-year-old head of the World Economic Forum. This came to us courtesy of the Wall Street Journal about a week ago, but it went largely unreported outside of the journal itself and, of course, VT.com, where you can go read all about it.
If you want to.
If you want to.
At your own risk.
At your own risk, yes. But Klaus Schwab has been accused of sexual harassment and creating a toxic work environment at the World Economic Forum. And this story is just so perfect because not only does it knock the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab, who are legitimately among the worst people on Earth, the ones responsible for the mess we're in as a country, as a planet, it's also showcasing how globalists and leftists will always eat their own if you leave them alone long enough. You would assume that the World Economic Forum was this perfect utopian organization where the people with, even if they're misguided, they're driven for the good of humanity, and they're the driving force behind DEI and gender equality. And you would assume that because they do this, they're squared away, but clearly they have not cleaned their own house in a while. So the various allegations against Klaus Schwab include firing women when they return from maternity leave, constantly commenting on their appearance. There was a quote from the Journal directly: "Since the forum's earliest years, staffers say women received warnings about Schwab. If you find yourself alone with him, he may make uncomfortable comments about your appearance." Generally, Schwab's behavior towards the women in his orbit was described as, quote, "more awkward than menacing, but inappropriate for a leader." And the one incident that they talk about specifically of sexual harassment was a European staffer who worked for the WEF in Geneva in the 2000s claims that Schwab once, quote, propped his leg up on his desk or with his crotch in front of her face and told her he wished she was in a Hawaiian outfit because he would like to see her in a Hawaiian costume. And
I'm sorry, we shouldn't laugh at what this poor woman went through, but it's such an odd request.
Imagine that egghead doing that.
I just gotta say,
too, imagine that.
If putting your leg up on a desk so your crotch is facing the room and making weird comments is an offense, somebody incarcerate Vincent Oshana immediately. But he said he did that to a bunch of women. Said, if I wasn't married, I'd marry you. And his wife of many years is his former assistant, so clearly he likes to date within his staff.
The World Economic Forum is always held at Davos, and Davos is where we see the stories of the hookers and the drugs.
Escorts, because they're expensive.
Escorts. I'm sorry. Yes, how white trash of me to. Yeah. But yes, so the prostitutes and
not
the whores.
That's for truckers.
But that's the same conference that they have every year.
Same conference,
and every year. Around the time where they announce that the World Economic Forum is going on in Davos is then when the reports come out about all of the high-priced escorts that'll be there and all the drugs that go on.
In fact, many of the people who spoke to the Wall Street Journal said that Davos is like the worst place for this, where it's not just Klaus Schwab, it's all the high-level staffers. They call it white on blue action because you have different color badges depending on whether you're a VIP or a staffer.
Mm-hmm.
So a white badge and a blue badge hooking up or having some kind of interaction is called that. The forum says they know nothing about this. They treat discrimination very seriously. But it goes beyond that because other employees said they were discriminated against based on their age. At one point, an HR manager was instructed to fire everybody over the age of 50 to give the group a more youthful appearance. He refused to do that and was then fired himself. And then this is just where it gets beautiful because it's also apparently super racist.
Nice.
Where they're saying black people are passed over for promotions. High-level staffers use the N-word in front of black people all the time. One incident in 2018 involved an operations chief belittling a black woman on his staff by mumbling, "What can you expect from an N-word?" during a dispute.
Jeez.
He was fired within 2 days. This is just the clincher right here of how beautiful the cannibalism of liberal globalists is. Another incident involved a manager from South Africa remarking that a certain chocolate-covered candy had once been called N-word balls in Denmark, which a nearby black employee found triggering. The manager was later reprimanded for her comments, at which point she cried about her ancestral guilt and asked the offended employee to organize diversity, equity, and inclusion training for her department.
And that's exactly her. That's exactly what it is. These virtue signaling fucks. The people who virtue signal the hardest are the biggest racists and sexists behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Just like Gavin Newsom.
But it's also idiot liberals who are making problems out of things that might not necessarily be problems. Because who do you believe? Do you believe that Klaus Schwab is a violent sexist who thrusts his crotch aggressively at female staffers?
Yes.
Or do you believe that the uber-liberal globalist women who go to work at the WEF are the kind who will make a sexual assault allegation out of nothing?
Both
of those are correct.
Double whammy.
So are the liberal globalists super racist against black people?
Yes.
Most likely. Are the black people who go to work for the WEF likely going to complain about incidents that aren't actually racist?
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
So that's why this story has everything, and it's chef's kiss beautiful to watch it all fall apart.
What do you think, Vinny?
Oh, I mean, I agree with Connor. The fact that these moments, bro, like I told you guys, how I sleep better at night knowing that the Democratic Party and all these leftist, disgusting human beings are just like I just read right now in the story while a couple minutes ago, George Clooney is asking for Biden to step down and everything's falling apart, and I just. It tastes so good. And when Connor started reading the story about Klaus Schwab, I just thought the headline could have been "When Demons Do Demon Things." I mean, these people have sold their souls to the devil. I mean, toxic work environment. Everything that the WEF does is toxic. They try to add fascism and socialism, which it's globalism. They want to control us. They want to do everything. They're the ones that are telling us that they know what is good for us. You know what I mean? Like you will own nothing and you will be happy. You will do this. All the DEI, it warms my heart to see it all falling apart on them. And I don't put it past them, bro. Think about it. These are the people. These are the elites. Let me explain something to you. These are the elites. The Klaus Schwab.
Yes.
All these.
There it is.
All these disgusting people, and all of them have accents. From the CEO of Pfizer, you know, anybody that wants. It's almost like a trend. Any one of the people that want to tell you how to live, how to you know how you should live your life, what they know is better for you. They always have an accent, and if not an accent, they sound like Bill Gates, just, you know, like a Kermit. They just sound like I don't trust you, so I don't put it past them, brother. I think if there's anybody that has skeletons in their closets, and they can do disgusting things like the Epstein type of folk, these upper echelon elite people, and get away with it because they're protected, it's people like Klaus Schwab. So I don't put it past them, bro. And if that's just if this is what is, if he was just sitting there like this and that's what they reported, imagine the people that are really have the stuff that, you know, they probably have dirt on this guy that, you know, kind of disappeared, and you never hear from these people
Imagine
again.
what Yuval Harari's been doing to people.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
And
Just in a game.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What's really funny is that the Journal talked to these employees via a WhatsApp group chat for ex-WEF members. The group chat that has several hundred members in it is literally called WEFugees or Wefugees, as in people who have been ousted from the group. So it is a perfect reminder, because like we're saying, you know, the globalists are evil. The people who work for them have all these problems. We are controlled by extremely weak, soft-minded, soft-bodied people.
Yes.
These are not strong people who can put up with even the slightest bit of difficulty in their workplace. They go to work for the WEF and expect they're going to be in a utopia. The second it's not, they're emotionally traumatized forever and have to cause huge problems. Not that I mind. I'm happy to see them try to tear the WEF down from inside, but it shows like they couldn't hack it anywhere else. That's why they were there.
Well, you just got to remember too, I think there's layers to this, and I think that this is an example of seeing them being put out to pasture as a sacrificial lamb, because I don't think the people who actually run the world are too happy with how public Klaus Schwab has been with openly bragging about exactly what he wants to do to the world and the degree to which he's trying to call attention upon the WEF. So there's a lot of institutions that do exactly what the WEF does.
But isn't that part of what we've talked about, Vinny? I forget the term. If you can jump in.
Predictive programming,
where they have to tell you what they're going
Yeah.
to do before they do it.
Oh,
So-
karmic, Rob, it's called karmic retribution. They have to let you know exactly what they're doing because their cabal, their little evil, I don't know what the hell moral code that they go by, they have to subliminally or kind of in your face let show you what they're doing.
Yes.
So,
And it's super interesting. We always talk about Klaus Schwab, George Soros. It's the people that those guys answer to that I'm super interested. Who are those guys?
Right.
Who is George Soros's boss? Who is Klaus Schwab's boss? And who's the one that goes and
Yeah.
It feels like with Biden, they flipped the switch on.
Yeah.
They went, okay, we can't hide this anymore. Now go ahead.
Yep.
Whatever you want. Here are the talking points. Go ahead, hit home, and bring them down. It feels like they're doing the same thing here. Who's the person that flips that switch
Exactly.
on Klaus Schwab?
Yeah, I'm obsessively looking into that right now, but and we'll get to that someday. But there's layers to this, and like Stephen Greer said before, there's a group of like a couple hundred people that really run the world, and goes back to like deep royalty, nobility ties to people who are like, there's generational wealth, there's old money, like old money to the highest extent, like that type of stuff. There's still a couple hundred people that really control everything that happens.
Final word, Humberto.
Carl Schwab.
Hey, all right. I thought you had something you wanted to say.
I don't have nothing, but I was going to say what he said. Like, you should see the apartment. There's piles of books and things and binders. He's actually looking into those people.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Real quick before we move on. And Vinny, I'd love for you to weigh in because I don't think we talked about going deep. Vinny goes deep and wide on a lot of things. Have you guys, this sounds so egotistical. Any of you guys kind of worried when you start digging into this stuff? Like, I was sitting on my patio last night in my backyard, and I was thinking about how, yes, I live in a gated community and I'm safe, but what I'm reading into and what I'm digging into are files that people don't want exposed, topics that people don't want talked about. And I went, oh, how safe am I? How safe is my family? And you're talking about him having stacks of research in his home. Yeah. Do you never feel worried about somebody coming and attacking you, or they're monitoring what you're searching?
No, because I think that the more you talk about it publicly, the safer you are to a degree, because it looks really weird. Yeah, sure, there's the Boeing whistleblower stuff, but I think there's certain things that they'll explicitly kill you for, but there's certain things that.
No, look at Bill Cooper, Beyond a Pale Horse. They shot that guy in his home, and then he shot at cops too. But
yeah,
he was actually outside. He was actually outside, Rob, where the cops showed up, and it was because of taxes or something stupid. But Rob, you know what I think it is? I'm not scared. I mean, at all, because my health insurance is God. I'm good. I know my relationship. When Pat says the future looks bright, I do believe it in all aspects of life. No matter what, our future, the country's future, and when I die, when that moment happens, my future does look bright because I know that I'm going somewhere better than this. And when you asked, who do these people answer to, Rob? Because I'm always in my head like, who are they really answering to? When it gets to that level, bro, it's not a person. They're answering to evil. They're answering to Satan himself. That there's no other way, because there's no other explanation for the things that they say, the policies that they're trying to enforce. You are trying to destroy humanity. So there is no other answer. There is no, that's the height. That's the CEO. That's the CEO, and that's the boss. And in regard to them coming after me, I don't give a shit, bro. But because the truth is, Rob, the stuff that we're speaking is dangerous, but it's not until you get to a certain level, like a Donald Trump, we start speaking that shit, and then they go, whoop, here's the dirt that we've been compiling. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but back in, post 9/11, if you just said certain keywords into a cell phone, Allah, bomb, terrorism, blah, blah, there's a supercomputer that picked you up, bro. I know a guy that worked at the NSA, and it's just weird. It's a computer is listening and deciphering to the conversation, and once it realizes you're not a threat, then it drops you. But think about that. That was back in 2001. We're 23 years later, bro. They know that if you're a threat or not, and if your voice is big. And Alex Jones, you see what's happening with Alex Jones. His voice is big enough to be heard by them. So I'm not scared. Let it happen, because, dude, I say this all the time. I'd rather die free than live as a slave. And I'm going to keep talking, because I'm going to keep waking up as much as these idiots that I can. That's why I love seeing people like Michael Rappaport that are actually like, holy shit. I mean, he's still kind of, kooky and Trump derangement syndrome to me, but somebody asked me the other day, why do you care? Why are you even saying what you're saying? Just love your family. I go, no. I go, listen, I'm going to keep doing that, but if the shit that's coming out of my mouth changes one person's mind, and they have one day come to a decision that they have to make to do right or wrong that might freaking save us and save humanity, I'm all in, and I'm not scared of shit. Take me out if they want to.
To close on that, one thing you mentioned, evil. I've struggled a lot with religion in my life, whether there is a higher power, whether I believe in a God. And the one thing I've noticed, Vinny, it's very clear and very evident, is that there are evil forces at play.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, we still live our lives, right? I wake up in my home, I go to work, I come home, I have my family, we eat dinner together, I watch Netflix, I fall asleep, I get up, I repeat. I'm able to live this freedom and have this life. So if there is this evil that's continuously trying to bring us down, then there's got to be something fighting back for us, a good that is trying to counter that to keep us at the place that we're at now. And hopefully good will supersede evil. So that's why I always go, is there a God? Is there? Well, there's clearly a devil. There's clearly evil with people that have bad intentions and evil spirits and forces out there that are trying to bring down humanity. That being said, if there is evil, there's got to be the counterpart.
Can I add to that? Like, Vinny, Connor, Shane, myself, we're all followers of Jesus. We believe in it. And as Vinny said, it's our insurance policy. And everything that I do, even though I mess up all the time because I'm not perfect, I try to do it for good. And that force of good lives in every one of us. I'm not saying that people that are not Christian, they're not good. But at the end of the day, like, I'm a Catholic. I go to, to confession, and I need to admit the piece of shit I was a whole week and reflect on it's true, and reflect on what I'm doing. And when I'm not doing things for good, because, like, I'm a physical being that is working for the guy upstairs and doing physical, like, trying to put as much good in the world as I can. And that's how the forces get balanced out. I don't know.
And that's the thing we have to remember too is it says it constantly, and no matter what you read, no matter which religion you are, it's so much easier to do choose the bad side than the good side. And that's why you see the people like Hunter Biden, the Clintons, whatever, all the ones blowing at their back, supporting them. You just sell your soul, like, figuratively or literally, and you have all the support in the world of the establishment at your back. But if you go against the grain, it's immensely more difficult. But you're on the side of good, and that's where I think we all are.
And look what Vinny mentioned earlier about Alex Jones and what they've done to him.
Right.
When they can't get you criminally, they will go after you financially. So if they can't get you on criminal charges and lock you up, then we'll just bankrupt you. It's the same way they brought down Al Capone. They didn't bring him down for bootlegging or being a gangster. They brought him down for taxes. And that's the same exact thing that they'll bring down Alex Jones with. It's not the taxes, but the financial implications of suing you into oblivion to the point where you owe billions of dollars and you can never pay it. So they shut your organization down. They close InfoWars. They liquidate the assets to go to the families.
Right.
All right. Super interesting, guys. We have our final story. The final story. Humberto, what do you have on France?
Just bad things.
Oh.
Like, I do a France story. I never have anything nice to say about the French, except my last segment that I was wrong. I was so wrong the last time I said something nice about the French, so it's over. And this story right here is not about France. This is about America, and this is about what's happening. And this tells you how the powers that be, how they will flip on the people immediately, and how they will band together to have the worst possible outcome. France, they never fail to disappoint. In just 2 weeks, they went from being praised by your humble servant of the Lord to just the thing that happened in France right now. And we haven't gotten to that point in America. Like, for example, if you break your arm, okay, you get a cast and your arm will heal. If you get stabbed, they stitch you up and you will eventually heal. But when you lose your teeth, they don't grow back. There's a few things in life that once you break them, they will never go back to what they were. There's a few things in society that we can never mend, or there's points that we're going to get to that we can never come back from. At this point in France, with the influx of immigrants and with the way the elections are going, the French culture and the French people is being diluted to a point that they will never get back from it. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing because I don't really care about France. Mm-hmm. But the French culture and the heads of France, they have their mind in making Muslims comfortable in France. And I'm gonna just show a few slides.
Before you move on quickly. Yeah. Would you guys not all agree? Because you said you're not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing to maintain the culture of a country. Vinny, I'll go to you first. I would think that it's important for countries to maintain their culture. What's key? It's historical, right? It's the country's history, and you're continuing to live that history and move on. But it's also the part of culture is you're part of something. To dilute it to the point where there's no collective culture, and it's now not individual, but a hodgepodge
I 100%
of culture.
agree, and it
dilutes it.
Yeah, and just in the case of France, I disagree because it's not.
Okay.
Kept
Humberto was also trying to gloss over the nationalist argument that I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit because that derails where he's trying to go.
I don't get what's wrong. What is wrong with loving the country that you're in and wanting it to be better?
We're getting into that in a few minutes. He was trying to get to the election results first.
All right, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted by asking a dumb question.
These are the final results. There was a match made in hell between the centrists. What is a centrist? Can someone tell me what? I don't even know what a centrist is.
Just loving banks.
Just loving
A
bank
polite
lovers.
liberal globalist.
Yeah, like Macron.
It feels like a centrist is a person who has no opinion. Right? They can't decide one way or the other.
No, they have all the same bad opinions as the people who are wrong. They're just less convinced of them.
No, they like to be a little bit wrong all the time.
They don't want anyone else to ever be right. That's certainly what they believe in.
That's what they believe.
They have no opinion, but they don't want anyone else to have an opinion either.
So most French people are noticing that their country's going to hell. That, I'm going to get into the crime stats a little bit later. And they were like, okay, this lady Le Pen, maybe she's a little bit kooky and whatever, but let's back her up. And they saw great success because they go in they have 3 elections for this election. They had the first round, they had the second round, and this third election is a very rare one when you pick the top 2 winners and anyone that has over 12%. I think they call it triage or something like that. And you had Marie Le Pen, who is she's a nationalist, and her party it's MAGA for France. That's what it is. But they call it nationally to make it sound more scary. But it's just France first. Like, let's have French people have a good time here.
That's abroad on the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's the daughter of a very famous French politician.
And
like their Trump.
Then you have Emmanuel Macron, centrist.
He's the guy that's married to the guy.
Yes.
Brigitte's husband.
Allegedly. And then you have the new Popular Front. That is the far left of France. And millennials and Gen Z voters, they're idiots. They're single issue voters. And they were so scared of nationalism and having France for the French people that they turn out in record numbers. I think it was like over 68% of people went there and voted. And when the young people get involved in this, they usually vote wrong. So I think we should have the voting age to be up to like 40 once you have some stakes on the thing. Yeah. Now I'm gonna show like a little bit of horror.
Yeah.
This is exactly what happened after they won, because one of the biggest fears that the centrists put into like the right-leaning people is like, oh, if you vote for someone that is actually right, the left is gonna burn everything down. You heard that. Everyone heard that. Like, if Donald Trump wins again, they're gonna burn the city down. It's gonna be the summer of love all over again. Now, in this case, they won, and here's some images of their celebration of winning an election.
That celebration looks suspiciously like rioting. Funny how that works.
He's carrying around fireworks.
So guns are illegal, but they can shoot fireworks.
They also destroyed stuff and burned stuff down, right?
We have
Oh,
more.
it's on.
This one's too happy.
This one, I'm kind of like, hey, this isn't so bad.
Well, you saw all the graffiti all over the wall.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't see one French flag. Where are the French
It's all
flags?
Palestine.
You don't see
That's weird.
It's all Palestine and socialism.
Don't you just love the Islamic Caliphate of Paris?
Oh, yeah. It's so freaking nice. Sharia law, baby.
Crombion. What is it when they...
It's certainly not Auslander Roust.
Sometimes they say that France is for the immigrants. You see the crowd. We can go to the next video. This is actually like, this is France. Literally, this video came out yesterday.
Look at that fucking psycho.
Is that a man or
Good.
No, there's
Good.
a woman that's
Good.
scared for her life.
Good. Well, guess what? I'm so happy he's hurt. Good.
Look, she's shaking.
Shaking.
So
yeah, because that freaking guy looks like a fucking Somalian pirate on his damn car.
don't assume he's country of origin.
Look
Vinny.
at me. I'm the Uber driver now.
I don't give a shit who it is. Rob, what were you gonna ask me? What were you asking me earlier?
Oh, if nationalism is a bad thing.
No. Here's my thing, and this goes back to the main point that everybody tries. I think they're too scared to say it. Letting all these people that have different beliefs than what you believe in are going to change your country from the inside out. France is cooked, okay? Just like Umberto said. England, finished. Okay, these countries, bro, they're letting in all these freaking migrants from all these different places. And let me explain something to you. In Brighton, they brought in that freaking mayor. Bro, these guys, nothing they would want more than to put in Sharia law. And when people hear that, you know, because by the way, these liberals, these leftists, these morons that are like, bring everybody. They're purposely trying to change the dynamic of the country. Who was the guy? Not Nigel. Hungary's president, or he released this thing.
Yeah. Orban.
What was it? What's his name?
Orban.
Orban released this document from George Soros, demon number 2 or 1. I'll put him number 1 before Klaus Schwab and them. This document was like, we're gonna bring 1 million people into these EU and just change the whole dynamic of all this thing. And bro, let me explain something with Sharia law. This is just the high points of Sharia law for some of you idiots out there that don't know what the hell you're asking for when you let in these people from a certain freaking mindset in a group. Severe punishment, that is amputation, stoning, and flogging if you ever get in trouble. Gender inequality. Women have fewer rights in inheritance, divorce, and testimony, and you have to be covered. Punishments for apostasy and restrictions on non-Islamic practices. You have to do everything that they say. Limited free speech, punishment for blasphemy and dissent, and the punishment is severe or death. And then inconsistent application varies widely depending on interpretation and implementation. They get to change the rules. They get to move the boundaries back and forth. What these people don't realizing, bro, nobody is saying it, bro. Nobody's saying it. You're bringing these people from these countries like, you know, Africa and the middle Palestine and all these places. Guys, they're not going to play by your rules. And I'll be damned if that shit's going to happen. They're slowly starting to do that shit here with the border.
Well,
but
Michigan,
guess what, guys?
you guys
We're
see
a
the
Christian
videos?
nation. We're a Christian nation. Try that shit here. That shit here.
Going back to the topic, and I hope Vinny, I don't know if he took his heart medication and everyone is chill right now, because this video sent by Shane will make, even if you're not French, it will make you mad. This might get really loud. Just roll the tape.
On vous a couché! On vous a niqué! Voilà ce qu'on dit!
Vous avez perdu. Vous avez perdu. On est trop fort à gauche. On a l'amour, on a la fête.
Vinny, it's French Harry Sisson.
Vous avez la haine. On est trop fort. On est trop fort. Vous avez perdu, désolé.
These fucking idiots. Yeah, that's what happens when the left wins. That's exactly what happens when the left wins. Good. Let that be a lesson. What's that?
C'est tout. Vous avez perdu. Vous avez perdu. Vous avez perdu.
Hey, that's Delhi.
Is that Delhi?
The problem is that all the strong men were killed.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir? Voulez-vous coucher?
And these people were
Is he saying voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir?
That says France is for the immigrants. And let me tell you a little bit what the immigrants have brought here. I have a few stats.
Besides syphilis?
Violent crimes in France rose around 384,000 offensive in 2023. This is compared to the 30,000 of the previous year. Like, it was.
What the fuck?
Yeah, right?
So it's 1,000%?
Yes. In 2023, police recorded, let me see, there was 948 murders in France. That it's just all the numbers are going. I don't want to get into the grape numbers, but they're up by 97%, and 70% of all these crimes are committed of people are not natively born. As an immigrant myself, you know, I always say this. Like, I come in the country, I stick to a program, I stick to the rules, I pay my insurance, I drive at the same speed, I don't steal stuff, I don't try to make the laws different, because, like, it was my choice to come here. But this thing right here, I brought this story because this can happen here. Like, Americans, with their American exceptionalism, they think, you know, this will never happen here. And the spirit that founded America is the spirit of telling people to kick rocks, okay? And I'm not seeing much of that spirit of people telling other people to kick rocks. And this is all over Europe. Like, Vinny said it. The mayor of Brighton, that we used to make fun of my friends from Brighton because it's the gay capital of England. Did you guys know that?
Yep, LGBTQ.
Yeah, Brighton's the gay capital of England. Then you had Sadiq Khan in London, who's the mayor of London. You have all these guys. They're getting to places of power. And I lived under Sharia law for 12 years in a very civilized country, and things worked out really nicely.
Because it wasn't a democracy.
Because it wasn't a democracy. But Sharia law plus a democracy, things are going to get crazy.
You didn't get your hands cut off and you weren't thrown off the roof of a building, which means you're probably doing okay over in Dubai.
But did you respect the laws when you were there, and did you flip off the camera and say,
And did
we're
you do
taking
gay
over
stuff? Because
Dubai?
that's usually they chop your hands off and throw you off a building for that.
Actually, it depends if you're on the giving end or receiving end.
Really?
Yes, it does.
So if you okay, quickly, I know we're gonna end in 2 minutes. If you're taking it, do you get thrown off the building?
Yes.
Or okay, but giving it's not.
Although in certain places like Saudi Arabia, if you are a gay man who likes to be on the receiving end of that, they won't kill you. They just force you to have a transition into a woman, which is why people talk about all the great pro-trans policies in the Middle East, because they just will forcibly castrate you and make you dress as a woman.
So, but like all this started to go to shit though when they started the European Union, because they were too weak to be their own countries. But that's when all this immigration started, and that's what they're doing to America. The globalism's the mass importation of people and the mass watering down of your culture. And so this is what happens when you get your culture watered down and immigrants electing your politicians. And that's the playbook they're trying to use for America. It's globalism. So that's the biggest evil that we have to fight.
Yep.
Well, let's give.
And by the way, it reminds me, Rob. I know you want to close just before. It reminded me because talking about the Middle East and because gay guys, Middle Easterns are still there's gay guys out there. Do you know why the gay Middle Eastern guys have sex with goats on the edge of a cliff?
Why?
To off themselves?
Because they know that the goat has to push back. So it makes it like more. It makes it hotter because it's almost like the goat wants it.
And then they throw the goat off the building.
Yeah, and then the goat's gone. Yeah, the goat, yeah.
Oh, flex that real quick. Okay, I'm sorry. We're still on. Sorry. Nice. I'm sorry. I forgot. Okay, we have to wrap up. First of all, Vinny, put Vinny back up. Everybody, thank you to Vinny for joining us. This show is not the same without him. So thank you so much. I know you're on vacation and this is your time to kind of decompress, but I'm speaking for me personally. Thank you for joining us, and for the audience, I know that they appreciate you coming back and being part of this. So thank you for sacrificing your time to be here with us. Thank you to Shane, Connor, Brandon, and Humberto for all bringing great stories to the table today. Thank you to Kelly behind the scenes. We've got Jacob on the audio. Thank you to Andres and Jeremy in the back. If you have not yet, join, like, and subscribe. You can see the thumbs below. Thank you, boys, right there. So make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share. And we will be back live Friday night at 6 p.m. with Vinny and more unusual suspects for you. For today, my name is Rob Gargiulo. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Peace.